which was known as credit fund, allowed fund houses to have minimum 65% of their investment into below non-AAA names. So that was the category defined by SEBI. Post IL&FS, there was a liquidity freeze across, especially to NBFC, HFCs. And accordingly, their disbursement reduced substantially, and people started seeing downgrades or defaults happening because the flow of credit had reduced. Now, we saw names like Diwan Housing, ADAG Group, or LTCO, and many more who struggled to see the refinancing happening because of the liquidity freeze in the industry, those names. Now, obviously, when you see in the headline, there are downgrades are happening or defaults are happening, which are like massive, then people started redeeming. And when you see an AUM fall to almost 43-45%, and from March, because obviously then COVID came, March, April, people started redeeming for two reasons. One, because of the safety towards liquidity, so people wanted to have money with them. And second, because of the fear that there could be further downgrades and defaults may happen because of, again, liquidity freeze in the system. So those 55,000 crore again fell further. So today as we speak, the AUM of these credit funds stand at 33,000 crore. So that's a massive reduction of an AUM from the peak of 91,000 crore to 33,000 crore as on date. We advise, just don't look at the returns. When we advise or when we do and BNK, of course, we are known for research, and the entire analysis is on the underlying portfolio. When you're seeing a AAA from 10-15% to going almost to 0.5%, which means there is no liquidity in your portfolio. Second point is that when you look at the exposures, and I think this anybody can do, even if I don't understand what paper that I'm going to, advise. If anybody don't even understand that, they can just look at the concentration. So if, I have invested in Franklin and I look at the underlying portfolio and they have a very high exposure towards Yes Bank, or they have a very high exposure towards XYZ name, which means my concentration is very skewed towards them. So something happens to that, obviously I will get impacted. So now the intent of Franklin is to pay back as per the maturities are concerned. My understanding is that it will be very, very difficult to sell these paper in this market because the market itself is not supporting. Now, if you look at the maturity profiling, and we had covered that in our report also, which we released post Franklin event, only 26% of the portfolio is getting matured in this year.
So my question is that, do you think that all this happened because of the number of requests that they got rather than their modus operandi? Because I think that this is something they've done for the last, how many years they've done, like investing in higher risk and these bonds, which basically gives them higher yields. So you think that had this fiasco not happened, maybe all this would have not come to light?
Franklin was 9th largest asset manager in the country, and Franklin was always known as leader in managed credit fund. So you're right, they have been doing it for years. They have developed their expertise. The credit fund as an entire industry came up quite later. Franklin was always managing credit funds. And when you invest into, non-AAA names, the idea, you are also aware. So Franklin is also aware that when you are investing into a non-AAA names, the liquidity, and because India debt markets are not very robust, the liquidity of such papers are not there in the country. So typically, and hence the right thing that they had done was there were a very steep exit loads. So if you're investing in a fund, which is your, income opportunities and all those funds, the lock-ins are 2 years, 3 years with high exit loads. So you typically invest, and they invest accordingly, matching their borrower maturity. So instead of selling it in the market, they used to get the money back at the time of maturity. And investors also typically used to stay during the entire period.